Many times you see that so many people want to do better financially, they want to grow better financially. But what if I tell you that one of the major challenges or problems you're facing in your finance is because of the lies that have been told to you? Now, the truth is, money is first of all emotional before you even move to the mathematical aspect of it. There's an emotion to money. We all have certain beliefs about money that we probably grew up with, over time. I remember when growing up, I always used to have this mindset that if you work harder, if you hustle harder, you would make more money. And many of us are stuck in that grind. You find people managing 3 jobs, 5 jobs, back-breaking jobs, or you find people that have worked for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and still are not financially free, or still not even able to afford the basic things. So the question is it that they are lazy? Is it that they are unlucky? Or is it that they don't know exactly what they are doing? Most times you see people that have hustled too hard, worked too hard over the years, and are managing so many jobs at the same time, is because they are stuck in some emotional and financial beliefs that are drawing them backward and stopping them from making financial breakthrough. It may sound harsh, it may sound like what you're talking about, but I can tell you, with my experience in the financial institution, managing clients' accounts, managing investments for clients over the past 20 years, this is what I learned, and I learned it the hard way, because it's a combination of my own personal experiences. I also hustled hard. I also was from that school of thought that you needed to work too hard, you needed to have a large amount of savings, you needed to keep saving. I remember for like the first 7 to 10 years when I started working in corporate, I was so keen on savings. Just imagine a banker, and my colleagues too were of the same, we had all had the same money beliefs. Every kobo, we saved every kobo, we cringed on every kobo. Once we got paid salaries, ours was just to keeping monies in the bank, and watching it grow to us was a sign of wealth. So there are so many misconceptions, financial misconceptions people are having, that are tying them down, keeping them broke, and stopping them from growing their wealth. And one of these misconceptions, or one of these lies, in fact, there are 3 lies I'll be talking about today that are holding people back in terms of growing their wealth. And that's what this channel is all about: helping you to grow your wealth, helping you to make smart money decisions, helping you to understand the reason why you are not making as much money. The truth is, wealth is not a one-day journey, it's not a 2-day journey. You grow wealth, compounding wealth over a period of time. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to come live today. I've been getting so many questions during my streams, and I just decided I needed to respond to some of those questions today. So today we're going to be talking about the truth about money habits and hustle. Everybody has their own personal money habits. Well, some people will believe immediately salary gets paid, I'm going to save a certain percentage, which is not bad. There are also a school of thought of people that believe that once I get paid, I'm going to drop this in savings account, pay my tithe, do this, do that. That's good. So there are many mindsets. There's the mindset of the earner, that's the salary earner, and there's the mindset of the business people. Now, each of them, both the employer and the business person, have separate financial rules they need to follow. So if you're a 9 to 5 or a salary earner, you cannot follow the financial structure of somebody who runs a business. And if you're running a business, you cannot follow the financial structure of somebody who is a salary earner, because income comes into both individuals differently. For a 9 to 5er, your income is static. You earn a certain amount at the end of every month. While for a business owner or a freelancer or even a creative, your salary is not static. You could earn $5 today at the end of the month, and you can earn $20 at the end of next month. So that's why the financial structure for a salary earner is different from the financial structure of a business owner. However, even if you're a salary earner or a business owner, there are certain emotional financial shifts that each person has to be able to tap into to be able to confidently start building wealth. So I've had questions like, I'm too old to start building wealth for myself. I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s. Or you see people say, oh, I'm too young. I'm just 22, I'm just 19. Why do I need to start building financial wealth? But the truth of the matter is, each and every one of us will be old one day. Each and every one of us are also susceptible to emergencies. And that's why in one of my videos on my channel, I always talk so much, I'm so anxious, I talk so much about having an emergency fund. Now, having an emergency fund is not for the purpose of you having money to go. I'm not saying don't have a cup of coffee. I'm not saying don't flex during the weekend. I'm saying having an emergency fund safeguards you from uncertain embarrassments and uncertain happenings. Now, the lifestyle of a 9 to 5er financially, the structure of a 9 to 5er financially is different from the financial structure of a business owner. Two different things. If you're a business owner, you cannot follow the financial structure of a 9 to 5, somebody earning a static amount every month. And if you're a 9 to 5er earning, say, $5,000 every month, you can't have the same financial structure with somebody who owns a business. Two different financial structures. But apart from those financial structures, one of the things I want to bring to your notice, and if you have contrary opinions, please drop in the comment section. Tell me what you think, are the financial lies we all grew up with. And you see, those financial lies have a way of tying you down emotionally and helping you make wrong financial decisions. So that's the reason why I'm taking this topic today, because I find that a lot of people are making wrong financial decisions because of the ideologies, the emotional ideologies they have grown up with. For instance, while growing up, I was told, if you hustle harder, you will be rich. If you work harder, you'll be rich. And that's the reason why we have people working 5 jobs, 10 jobs, 20 jobs, 3 jobs, and still not making money and still not being rich. In fact, their take-home pay is not even taking them home anymore. They are unable to afford the basic necessities because of the wrong financial structure that they apply to their income. Now, without saying double streams of income or multiple streams of income in the world that we live in is very, very necessary. One of the reasons being that globally, inflation has hit different countries. Now, inflation probably has hit third world countries differently from the way it has hit European countries and from the way it has hit Asian countries. Whichever way, inflation still hits negatively. It affects the GDP of the country. It affects the average lifestyle of its individuals. So here, what we are looking at, first of all, the basics, because I'm going to be running a live series on money habits to help you grow your wealth, whether you're a salary earner or a business owner. Because the truth of the matter is, you can't keep hustling till you are old. Everybody needs to realize that you only have a certain period to hustle for as long as you can. So say you're already 50 years old. What is the general retirement age of your country, or the retirement age of your region, or the retirement age of the kind of organization you work with? And bear in mind that we have also what we call occupational hazards. So as a creator, as a remote worker, you have your own set of occupational hazards. If you're working in a factory, you have your occupational hazards. If you are working in banking, finance, there's so many occupational hazards, and that's why it is critical you build an emergency funds for yourself. But I'm not going to dwell too much on that. I want us to talk about the money habits. There are 3 lies that I'm going to talk to you about today. Help you to unlearn and relearn. These first 3 lies are the basics you need to clear from your mind, disabuse from your mind, and then we can now move on to other topics, financial related. So the 3 lies is, number 1 lie: if I earn more, everything will be fine. That is a lie. As a financial analyst for over 20 years and an investment banker, I've helped a lot of people manage their wealth. Earning more does not mean everything will be fine. Have you ever heard of more money, more troubles? Please, if you've heard of that, drop a yes for me in the comment section. Have you heard of more money, more problems? If you've not heard of that, please, I need you to Google Puff Daddy's song about more money, more problems. The more money you earn, the more problems come to you. It's just automatic. The only way you can come out of those more problems is to have a clean financial structure. The minute you earn, some people say, oh, when you have 5 to 10 multiple streams of income, don't get it wrong. The multiple streams of income structure is beautiful. But if you don't have the right financial structure, you will still, as you're earning more income, your problems and your issues will increase. Number one basic fact, as you're earning income, your emergency fund also needs to increase, because if you have 5 sources of income, each of the sources of income has its own occupational hazard. It has also its financial lifespan. So you must be prepared for inevitables. And this is one of the reasons why I tell anybody who is concerned about building wealth, especially towards their old age, is to ensure that they also do what they call insurance. Now, I'm not going to dwell too much on insurance, but if you do not have an insurance life policy, please, you need to go get one. And if you are a parent, you have children, you also need to have an educational trust fund or an educational insurance policy for your children, even if it's just one. But today is not for life insurance, because that's also another aspect of investment. I mean, there are thousands, but at least let me just say about 7 basic kind of investments that every salary earner or business owner needs to have. Because at the end of the day, when your income comes, these aspects of your life need to be fed. Your emergency funds need to be fed, your insurance needs to be fed, your savings needs to be fed. But the mistake many people are making is when they get paid, when they have income, they focus more on savings than on investments. Over the past 20 years, I have managed clients of billionaires and millionaires. They don't keep money in their savings accounts. Please, if that is the conception you've been having, you need to stop doing that now. I am not saying don't have money saved somewhere, but don't rely on your savings account to be where your wealth is going to come from. You cannot be rich saving money only. If you have a plan, if you have a wish to ever be rich, you cannot be rich having only a savings account. By standard, you should have 5 basic types of accounts to grow your wealth. One of them being your savings, but that should not be where your highest amount of monies should be. So the first lie is, if I earn more, everything will be fine. What is the difference between a rich man and a poor man? If you have an answer to that for me, please drop in the comment section. There are basic differences between someone who is rich and somebody who is poor. One of the differences is the ability to apply a budget. When somebody asked me, why is it that these people are getting richer and why is it that these people are getting poorer? Does it mean that the poor person is lazy? Does it mean that the poor person is unlucky? So one of the things that I will bring to your attention now is budgeting. Budgeting is what makes the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. Hear me out. Now, there are some certain bad money habits quite a number of people have that don't allow them to budget appropriately. So there are different reasons as to that, different reasons as to why people don't get that level of wealth. Just a minute. So there are a lot of budgeting habits that separates the rich from the poor. Understanding that when your income comes in, you need to be able to be clear on what the important needs are and what the prioritizing your needs is very crucial here. So emergency funds is very important. The first thing, emergency funds. Of course, depending on your climate, on your climate. For instance, in Nigeria, with emergencies, I will not say only Nigeria, maybe different parts of the world, emergencies come up without you noticing. And this is why I said one of the lies that stops people from getting rich or growing wealth is, if I earn more, everything will be fine. That's one of the lies, the financial lies I grew up with, and it led me to keep working harder and not investing in the right places. Now, investing in the right place basically means that you need to be certain. Rich people don't grow by saving money. This is the problem many people have. Some people say, oh, if I have 5 streams of income, I will be rich. But it is a lie, it is a misconception. Money is emotional first before the mathematics applies in. Why do I say so? Because I've seen many people over the past 20 years bleed financially because they believe that if they work more, if they work harder, they will earn more. So please share with me any misconception, any money misconception you've had over the years, or any money related questions you have. You can drop in the comment section and I will respond to you. Now, the other one is budgeting. The difference between a rich man and a poor man is that the rich man has a better ability to budget than a poor. Now, when we talk about being rich or being poor, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have millions more. Wealth is interpreted based on investments. If you do not have any sort of investment now, as you are watching me, then there's a big problem. You must have an investment. If your mindset, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Richness is more of temporary. It can disappear within the twinkling of an eye. But true wealth is compounded over time. True wealth is built over time. And the easiest way to start building wealth is to start investing your monies. When you have multiple streams of income, which is a plus for you, you know the saying, more money, more problem. So when you have more money, you must be able to know the designated accounts to put in the funds. You must be able to, if you want to grow wealthy, if you want to be rich, and as of today, you do not have any form of investment, then you are wrong. It is a very, very serious, you are in a very serious financial situation. If you are running 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, you can even start investing from as little as 5,000 naira. Yes, I said so. When I started saving, or when I started investing, I started my first investments in insurance policies. Those are the cheapest way to start growing your wealth. It doesn't cost too much. All you need to do is to select a good insurance policy. Now, insurance policy and insurance company, I'm not going to make any recommendations. Do research for your own client. Now, when you start, this is how to do it. I built my own wealth over time. The first type of investment I did was insurance. Now, this is how it works. I used to remove 5,000 naira from my salary at the end of every month. This was separate from my emergency fund. Remember what I said about emergency funds? If God forbid a problem comes from nowhere, you have money to use to save yourself. Now, when you have some money set aside for your emergency fund, you have some money set aside for your savings, now the savings should be the least. Emergency funds should have more savings than saving. Now, when I say emergency funds, that emergency funds should be invested, not kept in an account. Let me repeat that. When you are saving for your emergency funds, when you are doing the normal savings for day-to-day expenses, they should not be in the same account. Your savings and your emergency funds should not be in the same account. So you have your salary account, or whatever account it is you use in getting paid for whatever business you do. You have your savings account, you have your emergency funds account. Your emergency funds account is what safeguards you against unexpected, God forbid, unexpected embarrassment. That emergency funds should be invested. The savings account should be primarily for day-to-day expenses. This is how the rich grow wealth. I don't want to dwell too much because there are so many aspects to it, so I have to break it down so it's easier for you to understand. And that's why I'm still tying this to the misconceptions that people are having, that if you earn more, everything will be fine. It is a lie. If you earn more and you're not investing right and you're not structuring right due to financial ignorance, then you're just going to be stressing yourself about so many things. Just a minute, I need to. Yes, so we were talking about if I earn more, everything will be fine. It's established now that if you earn more, it does not necessarily mean that everything will be fine due to financial ignorance. More money, more problem. More money, lack of structure, triple problem. So what we are focusing on in today's class is your savings account and your emergency funds account. Once you have an account whereby you're using earning money, let's say you're working in a structured 9 to 5, definitely there's an account where you get paid into. You cannot save or grow wealth in your salary account. You must move a certain percentage of money, we'll still come to that in another class, out of that account, put in your savings account and put in your emergency funds. Your emergency funds account should be invested. Once you have an emergency funds account, I always advise invest it. Now, emergency funds account should be invested in low risk investments. I always recommend, if you are new into investment, start with insurance policies, life insurance policies. And the beauty of life insurance policies is it safeguards you. Well, it doesn't stop you from dying or, for God forbid, from anything happening. But what it does is that there's what they call the sum assured. The sum assured is monies that is paid to your next of kin in case there is an issue of death or loss of life. Unaliving, they call it unaliving now. So if there's an issue of being unalived, the insurance company is mandated to pay a certain amount of money with interest accrued to your next of kin. Now, I'm sure you will ask me, what if I am not unalive within that period? Because insurance policies work for, you have insurance policies that run for a year, insurance policies that work for 2 years, insurance policies that work for 5 years, 10 years. I have insurance policies of 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and this is how I've been doing my investments. Of course, I also have what we call cashback land banking. We'll talk about another day, because this separate type of investments, I will select one day each to talk about them so that you can give me your questions. So the kinds of investments we have is land banking, real estate. Now, real estate has expanded to much more than we think. Real estate is a good kind of investment. You can invest in land banking. Land banking does not mean you don't really technically own the land, but you are investing in the land, and after a certain period you get paid back a certain amount of money with accrued interest. Another kind of investment is insurance policies, where you also invest. So we just spoke about land banking, which is investment in real estate. We also spoke about savings investments. We also spoke about emergency fund, and I mentioned that even if you have 10 jobs, if your finance is not properly structured, you will not be able to grow wealthy. And what's the difference between the rich and the poor? Budgeting is very, very important, because financial ignorance has made many people to suffer, a lot of hardship. You find yourself working for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and still you find yourself still hustling after 10 years. And we all know that once you hit 50, 60, 70, how strong can you be in comparison to when you were in your 20s and your 30s? Now, budgeting is for broke people. I've heard many people say that. And amazingly, the people I hear say that are people that are not even rich. It's unbelievable, it's harsh, but it's the truth. And if that is the mindset you have, you need to stop having that mindset. Budgeting is not for broke people. Budgeting is actually what rich people do to grow their wealth and stay wealthy. Always have a budget. There's a saying that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. I repeat, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Every income, every money that comes into your hands should be properly utilized and grown towards your wealth. Meaning that you shouldn't be working for the money, your money should be working for you. And that is why there are different kinds of investment plans that help you to grow depending on your level of your risk appetite. So some people have small risk appetite. Once there's a problem, they're already having high blood pressure. Some people have big risk appetite. So depending on your risk appetite is what determines the kind of investment, where you save your money, where you invest your money, and how you grow your money, and how long you keep your monies in a certain place. So those are part of things. Another misconception is that debt is normal. Debt is abnormal. Debt is not normal. Please, I also had that misconception for over 15 years. I thought owing made sense. After all, Nigeria is owing money, so what's the big deal if I'm owing money? It is a very wrong misconception. And I can tell you to an extent, I would say I am about 80% debt free as of today. Because you see, the funny thing about debt is a trap. You can be in debt for 10, 15, 20 years unconsciously, and it will be eating into your value, your strength, everything. Because inflation, once inflation hits, automatically your debt, the value of your debt multiplies. If you are owing a certain amount of money 2 years ago and you are still owing that same value now, you are going to be working 3, 4, 5 times more than before to clear up that debt, because the values of that money has drastically dropped. I mean, for instance, take our own country, for instance, Nigeria. The value of a naira to a dollar is just mind-blowing, and it has steadily, in fact, it started increasing as at 2011, 2012, 2013, and it has been increasing ever since. There was a time in Nigeria that a dollar to a naira was about 500 naira, 400 naira, even 150, even 80. Over time, with history, if you check history, it has been climbing up. So inflation has hit into the values of money, and because you have no control over inflation, what you have to do to build wealth, or to make sure that your money works for you instead of you working for the money, is to first of all disabuse your mind that you need to work harder or maintain 5 to 10 jobs. No, you need to invest smarter. You need to ensure that all your monies are not in one basket. So when you get paid your income, either as a 9-to-5er or as a creative or coach, you don't allow all your monies to stay in one place. You must break your monies into 5 different kinds of accounts. Once you get paid, don't ever put your monies in one place. Always make sure you have your emergency funds, and your emergency funds should not sit in a bank account. Don't ever, please, 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 don't ever let your funds stay in one kind of account, right? Now, I was talking about budgeting. The misconception of budgeting is for broke people, and that's why people stay broke. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Once you have a certain amount of funds, you must start budgeting that funds into different kind of places. So other classes, we're going to talk about the kind of places you budget. So please, one of the lies I need you to disabuse your mind about is that budgeting is for broke people, and then debt is normal. Debt is not normal. You should do all you can. If you are owing, let's say you are owing, I don't know how much you are owing, but whatever amount you are owing, I know so many people are owing one thing. And of course, debt sometimes comes due to lifestyle, living so that you can get impressed. I have a video about that, about a lady who I had to share some tips with, and she was able to start saving monies. Her problem was lifestyle. She was moving with friends who were always buying human hair impromptu, and you see, the problem she had was that she didn't understand that each of her friends had different sources of income, both legal and illegal. She was having only one source of income and maintaining the lifestyle of ladies who had 2 or 3 unrecorded sources of income. So she kept finding herself owing monies every month, and she was emotionally drained, because at the end of the day, the basic necessities that she was supposed to be able to use to provide for herself, she was unable to provide those necessities. So please, debt is not normal. And because of things, delayed decision making. I quite understand that people have different levels of risk appetite. Some people are afraid to invest. Some people are scared because they don't want to lose their money. And the general fear anybody has in terms of investments, in terms of creating wealth for them is, will this work? Will I lose my money? So when people are scared of losing their money, they would rather just spend the money than investing the money. But I'm here to tell you today that delayed financial decisions sometimes keep you from becoming rich, and this is why certain kind of investments are very necessary. These investments are what will safeguard you. For instance, life insurance policy is important for every living being, and insurance companies now are well structured, so it's not even an issue. I mean, those days you would be scared that you could easily lose your money. No, the only thing that you can make you lose your policy is if you're not paying the monthly premium that is required. When you're doing an insurance policy, there are monthly premiums that are required for you to pay every month. So one thing I need you to notice, once your income or your salary comes in, you're paying some money for your emergency funds, you're paying some money for your savings, but your emergency funds and your savings should not sit in a bank account. You should go with the mindset, change the mindset of, I need to work harder, to I need to plan better. I need to be more intentional and strategic about my finance. So every month, if you're earning 50,000 naira or $50,000, each money should already have something budgeted that the money is going to do. Now, when I'm saying budgeted, I'm not talking about flexing $10,000 or using $20,000 to go have a nice time. That's not the kind of financial budgeting I'm talking about. Financial structure of budgeting is ensuring that you are investing at least 50%. You see, the human beings have a way of adjusting to financial pressure. So it's not working harder, it's working smarter. All right? Now, lack of passive income is another problem many people are having. So many creators, coaches, people generally, even business owners, do not have passive income. Now, passive income does not necessarily mean you need to open a shop. Passive income does not necessarily mean you need to go and open a boutique or you need to go and run a physical business. No, this is something you need to understand. Passive income works beautifully in different ways now. There are so many ways you can grow your passive income by investing in bonds. You can invest in bonds, you can invest in fixed deposits, you can invest in treasury bills, you can invest in insurance, as I mentioned, you can invest in real estate. Now, I'm sure as I'm saying this, you may say, oh, all these are big kind of investments. They also work small scale. Like if you watch my video on palm oil investments, you will see that I said that in palm oil investment, you can invest as little as 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira, and grow the investments as time goes on. Like I said, we have bond investments, government bond investments, we have treasury bills investments, and all these investments can start with as little as 100,000 naira. Do the maths as against the dollars, right? $50, $100, $200, you can start this investment. So you can start with bonds, you can start with real estate. Hey sister, how are you? Howell, I guess Howell. Did I get that right? Did I pronounce it right? Did I pronounce it right? Good to see you. Howell, yeah. Good to see you, sister. How are you doing? Oh, good to see you. Thank you for showing up. I just thought to go live today. I had a bunch of friends asking me so many questions. Thank you, darling. Thank you for showing up. And I want, please, if you have any financial questions, any money related issues, please feel free to ask while you're here. Thank you so much for showing up. It's so hot right now, and if I dare put on the fan, it's going to blow everything out of. I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm good. I'm very good. I was talking about money habits, poor money habits a lot of people have, people not being able to invest, people not being able to save. Basically everybody wants to grow wealth, people want to be rich, but one of the problems people are having is lack of financial budgeting. People are not budgeting their funds. The difference between a rich man and a poor man is, this saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? So I've heard someone say, if you earn more. Oh, beautiful. So you already understand what I mean. I've been in the financial industry for about 23 years. I worked in the bank for 19 years, and I'm currently into investment banking and financial advisory as well. So it's not news. They don't like to take risk at all. They are averse to risk, and this is why the wealthy people keep getting richer, because they take risk. Most of the poor people I know, I'm so sorry to use that word, they eat from hand to mouth. As their monies are coming in, they are eating the entire money. They are not concerned about saving, they are not concerned about investing, and they are not concerned about growing wealth. Rather, you'd find them working 5 to 10 jobs and thinking the more jobs, it's hand to mouth. As the salary is coming, they're eating it, and then by 15th or 10th of the next month, they're broke. And I always say, it's funny. I have a few of them as family, and they'll call me and be telling me, hey Ish, I'm broke, I don't have money, oh, my salary is finished. And yes, I understand that inflation has hit on I mean, it's affected my own country. Inflation is is so horrible right now. A lot of people are struggling to even feed just basic amenities. But I tell people that if you invest, so the problem is they feel, oh, if I start investing now, they want rich quick. You can't. If you really want to be wealthy, there's nothing like get rich quick. It doesn't exist. Inflation is everywhere. Yes, it's everywhere. But true wealth is not a get rich quick scheme. And I keep saying this and saying this. I just said, okay, let me go live and have a discussion about it. Let me hear what people think. Let me hear what people feel about the money misconceptions they may have come across. There's nothing like getting rich quick. There's nothing like if I earn more, I will be okay. No, more money, more problem. The more you are earning, the higher the problems. Have you noticed that when people have increments in salary, their lifestyle increases with the money? Have you noticed it? How? Your clients. Have you had clients that they earn more money? Anita, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. I've been seeing your comments on my videos. Thank you so much. So sweet of you. Yes, Anita, meet my friend Howell. Yeah, amazing. Good to see you. Thank you so much for showing up today. Wonderful. Wonderful. So lovely to see you. Oh, Annette. I was wondering. Oh, anyway, that's what happens when we have multiple accounts. Annette, good to see you. Yeah, I was already thinking it's one of those Indians. Good to see you, sister. Thank you for showing up. It's so lovely to see you. I was just having a money gist with Howard right now. And we're talking about how people work so many jobs and are still struggling to make ends meet. And of course the fear of investment. People don't want to. More money, more problems. Yes, Annette, more money, more problems. The problem I have most times with a lot of people, I mean, over the past 20 years I have been consulting and speaking with my clients. I had a particular client, I'll share a story, who was struggling. She blew your cover. she blew, oh my god. She did. I was already rejoicing thinking it's one of my Indian boys. Yes. First of all, I don't know how it works. Annette, please share with me if it's different. So first of all, for me, I think if your family knows you earn more money, they're going to make more requests to you. And part of the problems a lot of us have is our circle of influence. The people that we are surrounded by. For instance, if my mom, bless her heart, knows that I'm earning like 5 million naira more than what I'm earning now, she's going to start coming up with all manner of requests because she feels you have the money. You have the money. Why don't you spend it? So this is a problem. This is something that's keeping people poor. You need to be able to cultivate a habit of budgeting. People must, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You must plan your finances. Now I want to ask you, Annie, do you believe in having an emergency fund? Do you believe in having an emergency fund? Because I think a lot of problems people have. I have an emergency fund. Now I'm not praying for problem. I'm not asking God to give me problems, but you need to have an emergency fund. So how already knows that because she's already into finance, so it's not something I need to reiterate on. But Annie, if you don't have an emergency fund, please, girl, you need to work on having an emergency fund. It's very, very important. And there's another misconception that I wanted to talk about shortly before Howard came in. There's a misconception that debt is normal. Now I tell people that yes, debt may be normal. It may be normal to owe money, but you must realize that as long as you are owing money, creating wealth is going to be a bit of a struggle or a challenge. And it makes no sense if you're owing monies and you're having investments, unless those investments are giving you really high interest rates. So if they're giving you high interest rates, the profit from the interest, if it's kind of rollover kind of investments, maybe treasury bill or fixed deposits or government bonds, the interest from those investments can be used to pay off debts. It is good financial practice to make sure you start settling your debts. If you really want to grow wealth, you must first of all do a calculation, not mental calculation, a true mathematical calculation on your assets and your liabilities. Wealth is all about assets and liabilities. You have to understand, what am I worth in assets? My clients, the first question when they come to me and we are doing a financial analysis, I ask them, what are you worth as at now? You see celebrities, when you read about them on the newspaper, you hear she is worth $50 million. He is worth $2 million. She is worth $10 million. But do you know what? The average man does not even know how much they are worth. That is even the beginning of crisis. You should be able to ask yourself today, how much am I worth? Like I said, assets and liabilities. How much am I worth? And then how much am I exposed to? What is my liability exposure? So if you calculate, now when we are calculating assets and liabilities, please don't calculate your car as an asset. Your car is not an asset. Your car is a liability, and a depreciating liability at that. The minute you drive a brand new car out of its garage where you bought it, depreciating value has already kicked in. It loses just a bit of the value the more you drive it. And that's why whenever you are purchasing some certain assets, we'll have a discussion about that another day, it must have a high second-hand value if it is possible. So if you are buying a phone, I don't know how it works in some other climes, but in Nigeria, if I'm personally buying a phone, I buy something that has an ability for a resale. If it does not have an ability for resale, then the depreciating factor is going to be really bad. Now, when we say something has depreciating factor, we say, how long can this thing last? So if you buy a phone that works for you for only 6 months or a year and it goes kaput, then it has a very poor depreciating factor value. And if the worth of the phone at initial purchase and that phone has not gotten you commensurate amount, for instance, you buy an iPhone, and I know that yes, this is arguable, some people are going to argue with this. So if you buy yourself an iPhone and say you are not a content creator, you're not earning any other income using that phone, then technically you shouldn't even own an iPhone. But I mean, this is debatable, right? So when we are talking assets and liabilities, you have to first of all ask yourself, how much am I worth? And that's by calculating things that have resale ability. Now, I'm not even talking about skills. Some people have high asset value because they have high level of skills. Maybe they are good content creators, they are good in graphic design, they are good in editing. And this is why more and more people are being asked to gravitate towards skills, acquisition of skills, because it increases your asset value. So if you have an asset value of skill worth that can gain you $5 million or $5,000 monthly, and let's say the only problem you have is you're not implementing those skills, it's still negligible. You can still, neither here nor there, but yes, you can still manage it. But if your asset value is low and your liability value is higher than your asset value, then you are in trouble. You need to up on your asset value. Your asset value is what you are worth as at now, and your liability value is how much you are owing out there. So if at the end of the day your asset value is only $5,000 and you are owing $15,000, and there's a heavy disparity, something needs to be done. Now you have to factor in age, you have to factor in health. So there are so many things you're going to factor in to help you increase your asset value. So let's say you are in your 40s and 50s. Having more jobs necessarily may not cut it. In this case, learning more skills is the easiest way to go to increase your asset value. But I will not advise you to go and start opening a shop or starting a business that you will need to use more capital. So when I'm talking about capital, I'm talking about rent, buying equipment. And I always tell people, if you're starting a business, start small. Start small so that your risks are smaller. You know, we all have different risk appetites. And when it comes to emergency funds does not necessarily mean keeping a certain amount somewhere in cash. No, I always advise, if you're building an emergency fund, please don't drop it in cash. Drop it in investments. Let your emergency funds be in investments where they will be increasing profit for you. This is one of the best ways to grow wealth over time. So over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years, keep rolling over those investments as long as you, God forbid, you don't have an emergency. Now you must be able to prioritize what is truly the definition of an emergency. Some people think a financial emergency is I need to buy a new car. Ask yourself, can you live without it? If you can live without it, there are cheaper ways to, because you have to consider maintenance, you have to consider fueling, but then running a car, you know, some people argue that it's a luxury, some argue that it's a necessity, but I leave that to you to decide depending on your own lifestyle. But the point I'm trying to make here is, first step to starting wealth, after we've nullified those 3 lies of you need to earn more to be fine, or budgeting is for broke people, which is a lie. Budgeting is not for broke people. Budgeting is also for rich people. And that debt is normal. Debt is not normal. Please, this is a misconception. Debt is definitely not normal. And that is what brought me to the calculation of assets and liabilities. So the first step is to even determine how, in terms of wealth, how many landed properties do you have? I spoke about different types of investments earlier on. I spoke about land banking. I spoke about, which is also part of real estate. I spoke about fixed deposits. I spoke about treasury bills. I spoke about bonds, government bonds, and stock. Now, we all have different level of risk tolerance. So those risk tolerance is what will determine the kind of investments you move on to. But if you are someone that is risk averse, I always advise the first step to investing is insurance policies. Insurance policies are good, and I understand that many people are scared of it. I also was like that, but I would advise, if it's something you're looking to start, life insurance policies work beautifully. So the way it works is you're paying a certain amount of premium every month, which at the end of the day, you have a signed contract between yourself and insurance company. So always make sure you pay that sum assured every month. They will now pay you what they call a sum assured. Beautiful, exactly. I didn't want to break that down too much, because you know, some people would start wondering, where is she going to? But yes, money market is very, very, very necessary in insurance. It works with that. So beautiful. Now insurance has grown from the regular health, education, and life policies to, you know, the money market and trust funds. Yes, educational trust funds. Like now, I have educational trust funds, ETF, for each of my children. So I have a certain amount I pay every month for them. So it's supposed to, God forbid, in the case of eventuality, it will now, the way insurance policies work, those ETFs will now be activated to help them pay their school fees or whatever needs they have for about 10 years each. So yes, ETFs work excellently well. Life insurance policies work well, but I've heard of people say they are scared of doing life insurance policies because if their family knows that they have life insurance policies, they will unalive them because they want to have access to their money. Whatever works for you. But I think when you have an insurance policy, especially a life policy, it's not something people should know about. So that's just a pointer for you to know. If you're interested in having an insurance life policy, please don't announce it to your family and friends, because you know the thing is, especially whoever the next of kin, whoever it is that is going to earn from that insurance policy. Yes, beautiful. Life and education, love it, sister, love it, sister, love your contribution. Life and education should be a priority. That's what I tell. If you're a creator, content creator, a coach, whatever areas you are into, the first point of focus before you even think about doing real estate or any other kind of investment should be life and education. Well, God forbid, we're not praying for death, but it's an inevitable subject many people need to. So life policy is important as an emergency fund. Educational trust fund is important if you have children, as an emergency fund. If you don't have kids, please start investing in life insurance policies. They have different grades depending on how much you earn. Thank God you don't need to have millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to start investing. So when I say have an emergency fund, the first point of call is a life insurance policy, and then education if you have children. So you need to read the fine print, please, before you sign any contract with any insurance policy. Read the fine print, look at the dotted line so you can understand what exactly is required of you, and so that you don't lose out on your investments, because every kind of investments have the good sides and the bad sides. So this is very, very important. So talking about debt, I was mentioning about assets and liability. What is your worth asset and what is your worth liability? Meaning, if let me not use the word if we are to sell you now. If we are to calculate what your worth is, how much are you worth? So we're not going to calculate. We may, well, it depends. Different financial analysts have different ways they do their calculation. Some will calculate your clothes, your shoes, your car, even if with the depreciating value, your phone and all that. But I'm more skill-based. I'm more inclined to skill-based kind of asset calculation. Because if you want to calculate your clothes or your shoes or your car or your fridge or your TV, really, how much can you gain from those if you have an emergency and you need to quickly raise cash? Yeah, we have what we call emergency sales. If you want to sell your TV, maybe because you are in a very tight position. We know people that have faced that. Over the past 20-something years as a financial analyst, I've seen a lot of people do what they call distress sale. Distress sale, selling their houses in distress, selling their cars in distress, selling their assets in distress. And when you have what they call distress sale, you tend to lose more than you gain because it's distress. So this is something that people really, really, really need to be conscious about. So avoid distress sale in terms of, so when you're having emergency funds, like how also mentioned, life and education should be a priority. And then please, you also need to identify your level of debt exposure. This is 2025. We're in the month of July. In a few days we'll be moving to August, and we'll have August, September, October, November, December. That's 5 months for the end of the year. So you need to analyze your debt exposure as at now. Remember, I said it's all about finance, is all about assets and liability. That's the summary of what finance is about. If you want to grow wealth, your assets needs to be higher than your liability. Now, yes, there are some rich people that go about borrowing monies from banks. They don't use some certain amounts of money to start businesses. They rather borrow monies from bank. But when they borrow from bank, they borrow at incredibly low interest rates. That is a topic for another day, and it depends on kind of investments that they are going into. Exactly, Annie. Unless your clothes and shoes are expensive and designers, I wouldn't. Exactly, that's my own personal opinion too. When you are calculating your assets and liabilities as an individual, I have financial friends that would say they will calculate. So yes, let's say you're a celebrity, say like I don't want to call names. Let's say you're a Hollywood actress or actor, like a celebrity in the true sense of the word. A lot of them also invest heavily in their regalia, in their clothes, in their shoes, and they still have a very high level of second-hand value. They can still sell those things. But why will a regular woman like myself want to start calculating how expensive are my clothes, for goodness sake? So if I'm going to calculate my assets, I definitely am not going to add the prices of my clothes and my shoes and my bags. Let's be real. Some people would say, oh, I bought this outfit $10,000. True, you could have, but if your brand in itself is not a strong brand, you probably will not get good value for whatever it is you want to sell. So when we are looking at assets, we are looking more at your investments. What investments do you have? I have a friend that buys human hair regularly, and she tells me those are her investments. Well, that's her own personal thought. I'm not going to argue about that. But I remember when on my journey in building investments, there was a time in my life that I was buying gold. I was buying gold earrings, gold chains. I would wear them, and they were my investments. But they had a high level risk of theft. I had a client who used to invest heavily in gold, woman. She used to buy gold, but she used to keep her gold in a safekeeping in the bank. So she had a safe box. Hi, Teacher PG, you're welcome. Good to see you, sister. Yes. Some people buy designer shoes as investments, but me, Dr. Ish, I will not go and buy designer shoe as investment, because first of all, I'm not even a celebrity. So even if I want to sell it, I'm almost certain that I will lose on that sale. But if I was a celebrity, say like a Hollywood actor, actress, and I want to sell my shoe, my brand would be selling the shoe for me. So my name alone is what will make the shoe worth it, because my name is the asset behind the shoe. So anybody buying the shoe for me would be saying, oh, I'm buying the shoe of a movie star. And that is when they will add the value of you, the movie star, to the price of the asset. So when we're talking assets and liabilities, like I said, first of all, understand, what do you own now? If you're not sure as to how much you are worth as a person, I need you to do a calculation. Take out your biro, take out your book. Oh yes, okay, let me quickly finish the gold. Yes, so she started buying gold. And she would buy really heavy gold earrings. You know how our Nigerian, they call them Isaleko women. Lagos, she has all these big shops in Lagos market. She's not even educated at all, but she's always traveling to Mecca, Dubai. She buys gold. If you even hold the gold chain, it will just be dragging your neck down. So she would pack everything, worth millions of naira, and bring them to the bank for us to keep. So safekeeping, we call it safekeeping in the bank. So the procedure is you will fill a register, the items, the date you kept the item, then items will be kept in a box. We always had like cash kind of box, fireproof boxes, like small in size. We do safekeeping for gold, we do safekeeping for documents, passports, different things we do safekeeping for, but we don't do safekeeping for perishables. So she would come, she would keep them, and anytime she has financial constraints, so that key, now that box, I as the head of operations at the time, she's buying it for investments. She's not buying it to wear. She's buying it to trade. So the minute the price of gold goes high, she comes to the bank, picks the gold, sells them, right? And then invests that money in maybe, for instance, another kind of business. So say, for instance, there was one she told me about. She had an offer to buy a property in a very lucrative area that she wanted to turn into a school hostel. But she was cash strapped at the time. She didn't have complete money at the time. So she came to the bank, and I think she was trying to raise money, but she couldn't raise. Good enough for her. The price of gold. Hey, sister, you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. Good to see you. So she wanted to buy the property, but she didn't have enough money to buy the property. So she came to the bank. I was the head of operations at the time, and I was pretty close to her. So she had gold worth at the time 25 million naira, in safekeeping in the bank. Earrings, necklaces, rings, all sorts inside and if you see the bag, small bag, but 25 million, and this I'm talking is about almost 10 years ago. So their worth now will be about 150 to 200 million. But she didn't have enough money to buy the property, so she picked some of the gold and she went to sell them, because she was able to pay a deposit for the property to keep the property for herself so that they won't sell it. So she waited a bit for the price of gold to go high. The minute the price of gold went high, because gold is also another investment. Let me do the math, just a minute. About, say, almost $20,000 now. Almost $20,000 now. Between $16,000, $17,000, $20,000. Yes. So so that's like, at that time she had about let's say she had about $20,000 worth in gold with us in our vault. We keep those safekeepings inside our bank vault. So she picked a certain amount out of it, sold it, and then used it to pay the balance for the property. That investment blew my mind. And I was just, I started looking at women differently. So I found unconsciously, when I'm walking on the road and I'm seeing, because Nigerian women, they don't joke with gold. They love gold a lot. Nigerian women love gold. So I started unconsciously, when I see women walking on the road, I would be staring at their earrings and their necklaces, and I'll be like, this woman walking now might have, what it is to see a human being who is wearing $20,000 on their body. Like, can you believe that? Like, a woman can be wearing $20,000. Same with men, don't get me wrong. I'm just using that gold. Yes, money in real estate. Yes. So before you came in, I was talking about land banking, also another kind of investment. Now, land banking, real estate has evolved. In those days, we used to think real estate was, I pay for land and that is it. No, there's so many things to real estate. So this is it. One of the investments I'm currently doing is a rollover. They call it cash-backed land banking. I roll it over. Oh, that's even true. Next month, I'm due for my interest. So I invested 2 million naira, and okay, for Annie, let me do the calculation. 2 million naira, $1,500. In what they call it, land banking, cash-back land banking. How this works is, they buy the land for you, they give you the documents, but in quotes does not really belong to you. You have no intention to build on that land. You have no intention to farm, and I'm coming to building, I'm coming to farming. You have no intention to build, you have no intention to farm. So you buy the landed property. So you don't buy it yourself, or you go through real estate companies. You don't have to go and look for the owner of the land. No, there are real estate companies that handle that. So what happens is, I pay for this land. They give me my documents. However, the agreement is that once every year they pay me 500,000 naira, between 5 to 700,000 naira as my interest once a year. Now, that $2,000 that I spent is still there. So I've had it running for like 3 years. So let me do the calculation for Annette. So if I do the investment, let's say $1,500, $2,000 in terms of the cashback land. So they pay me $500, between $500 to $700 once every year for that investment. So imagine, meanwhile, my $2,000 is still with them. It's land though, it's real estate. So imagine when you are paid $500 to $700 every year. In 3 years, in 3 to 4 years, you've made back the capital for that investment. That means in 3 to 4 years, I can make back the 2,000 original dollars I used for investment for that transaction. I don't know if you get the maths. That's for cash backed in real estate. Another part of real estate that's very interesting is you buy the land. I recently did that, so I did a financial miscalculation. My mom's rent was due around May, and some jobs I did, the clients were for some reason they've been unable to pay. I don't know, they're going through some constraints. So I quickly had to call my real estate broker, and they sold two plots of, I have plots of land in different parts of Nigeria. So they quickly sold two of those plots of land for me, and I bought the lands for calculation. I bought the lands, let me just say around $1,000, and I sold the lands, but distress sale. And that's why I always advise against distress sale. If you buy any property, if you do any investment and you're forced to do distress sale, bear in mind that your profit will not be as much as it should have been if you were not in distress. So it was a distress sale for the land, and that distress sale, I made let me just say $600 interest in a year, which may not count as much for some people, but because I was desperate. So that $600 is the addition, $600 in addition to $1,000 I used in buying those land. So in all, I made a profit of $600 just sitting down. I just bought the land and left it there. Nothing was done on the land. However, I have other landed properties that farmers rent from me. This is still the same real estate. So what they do is I allow them to plant their cassava, their corn. So they help my land to become fertile. So they plant their cassava and corn, and they pay me for rentage. So you can rent out your land depending on the kind of land you buy, depending on the location. I always like buying land where it's close to where farmers are. It's usually not urban areas, rural areas, because I get them cheaper to buy. But your paperwork must be on point. Real estate is also a very dicey business. If your paperwork is not done well, you can lose everything. Same with different kinds of investments. So these are different aspects to real estate. So there's the cashback real estate where you buy the land, and every year they pay you a certain interest. The organization pays you the interest. You're not doing anything. You're just lying down and receiving your bank alert, your credit alert once every year, which I'm going to receive by next month. So when I get it, yes, still a profit. Yes, still a profit. Yes, still a profit. It's just that, you know, my calculations had been, you know, something really boom, but well, I was able to pay my mom's rent without facing embarrassment, and I was able to do one or two other things, so it still wasn't a loss, though I sold it in pain because I didn't want to sell it. But that's fine. The essence of having those properties, which I call emergency fund, and that's why when I started this class I was talking about building emergency funds. However hard they are working, always analyze, like I said, your assets, your liabilities, and then your emergency funds. Savings doesn't work. Hey sis, happy weekend. I'm jumping in very soon. I'm about rounding up. Yes, I had to quickly run this because OBS has been frustrating me. I don't know if it's the network, so I just said let me test run this live and see what the feedback would be like. Thank you so much, sis, for showing up. Thank you, darling. Thank you. So ladies, yes, so like I said, just to round up, the 3 lies that stop people from growing real wealth is that if I earn more, everything will be fine. There's nothing like that. If you earn more, it doesn't mean you'll be fine. You earn more money, more problems. How also mentioned that budgeting is for broke people. That is a lie. The rich are becoming richer because they budget right and because they apply financial structure to their wealth. Debt is normal. That is the 3rd lie we addressed today. There's nothing like debt is normal. Debt is not normal. Debt is abnormal. However, if you are owing, it is not wrong. If you are owing, you're not wrong. More money, more problem. I was telling them before you came in, I said, if my mom should hear now that I'm earning 2 million naira or 1 million naira or $1,000 more than what I'm earning now, my own mom's needs will increase. It's not that she hates me or just wants to labor me with expenses. It's just normal human behavior. You choose before that you look at before, especially for we women, that you were like you could not afford before. Now you want to afford it. Sorry, please give me a minute. I noticed my battery. Oh, you're more into stocks and shares. That's lovely. I do okay, I had a bad experience with stocks, but that was years ago. And it's not the same.
Charging now.
I think I wasn't financially smart then. I was just starting out. So stocks is good, but it depends on the company. Yes, budgeting will help you control your spending, because let me tell you, if I don't know if you heard of this saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Trust me, money is like a spirit. It is emotional and it's like a spirit. If you don't plan that money, is then you will see people coming up with all manner of beautiful, yes, a separate credit card, and I want to believe that that separate credit card has specific needs that it is for. You just don't use that credit card for anything. And I tell people, always have a priority list. What are the things I cannot live without? What are the things I can live with? There must be a priority list. If you are going to even have a credit card, what is the credit card for? Is it to buy new shoes? Is it to buy food? Is it for investments if you want to start a business? You don't necessarily even have to start, like I was explaining before, acquisition of skills is the new gold, because you alone can determine how much. I'll explain. So I recently launched my ghostwriting academy a few days ago. I've not really come out so much about it, and that was because I had to do a financial analysis. Rishi problems. There was a period my ex-mother-in-law, I don't know, at that time I worked in a bank called Fidelity Bank, and it is easy to know when people get paid their salary. I noticed that any day I'm getting paid salary or any major allowance, that woman will just appear from nowhere with my rent is due. There was always a problem. Not just her, family generally. Oh manna. Like everybody's just planning on your salary. Maybe you work in the bank. So I'm like, oh yes, I work in the bank, but am I the MD of the bank? Am I the owner of the bank? But that's just different gist. It's a spirit. It comes, so you need to plan, or else you will just find yourself working so hard till you are 50 and 60. And every day you are getting older. Right? So talking about stocks and shares, I recently discovered that how much is the salary now? How much? With the inflation, that is the reason why investment is key. Any money is coming in, you must set a certain money aside for investment. Insurance, life and education policies are good, but they will give you small interest rates. So some people may not love that. And that's why if you check on my channel, I talk about different things people can invest in, which is palm oil, shea butter, ginger, exports. I have many things, and of course I'm starting to also talk about financial mistakes people are making. But the truth is that we all have our own ideologies. We have